Hi, I'm Auntie Tam, and welcome to the very first episode of How to Adult. This is what we're going to be doing with this series of videos. We are going to be teaching you a few adulting skills that you find maybe you need a little bit of help with. So, the whole idea is that we're going to teach you a few things like budgeting, financing, wills and testaments, how to change a car tire. So it's not just it's real practical help on how to adult. And I was asked to prepare this by Jonathan Wachener, who's one of my followers. So thank you, Jonathan, for the suggestion. This is absolutely fantastic, and I really can't wait to get started on it. So here is the very, very, very first edition of How to Adult. Okay, so what we're looking at today is budgeting, finance. This is a very, very, very important skill. And it's something my mom taught me when I was about 10 or 11 years old when I started to get pocket money. And then later on, when I studied PR, I learned a little trick. So what you will need for this particular exercise is a pen, some paper, a calculator, or if you prefer, an Excel spreadsheet. Let's get going. Okay, so step one of budgeting is take a look at your income. Now, we're going to work on the number of 10,000 Rand because that just seems to be a nice round number to work with. Obviously, your income is going to vary, so you would be working with that number. But to begin with, we're going to work with 10,000 Rand. So what I would do is I would begin with my income at the very top of that page or Excel spreadsheet, the number. So in this case, we're using 10,000 Rand. What I learned in public relations is that when you're budgeting for an event or you're budgeting for something, rather take 10% of that off. Yeah, right? Scary thought. 10% of that off, so that'll be 1,000 Rand in our case, and save it because that 10% is for emergency use only. If it accrues over several months, then you can decide what you would like to do with it. Maybe you want to plan a holiday. Maybe you want to buy some furniture. Maybe you want to buy a new car and you can use that as a down payment. But that 10% goes into the savings account where it'll accrue interest and start growing. But if you do need it at the end of the month, because you never know what happens, you might have to replace a tire. You might have forgotten that you need to renew your license disc. That kind of thing. So keep that in mind. That's what that 10% is for. That 10% is for those occasions that you may have forgotten about. It is not for spending on booze and going out and, oh yes, I've got 1,000 Rand, let's go splash out and buy stuff. That, it's going to take discipline, but that 1,000 Rand remains untouched unless absolutely necessary. If you cannot put away an entire 10% of your salary, then put something, even if it's 100 Rand, even if it's 50 Rand, but put something away in a rainy days fund because you never know when you may need a little bit of extra cash and then your head's not going to explode when something happens and you need cash. You've got some at hand. Number one. So the first things you budget for are the things that keep a roof over your head. So your rent, that'll be your rent. That'll be anything to do with your car. So that's petrol. If you've budgeted that you need to get your license disc or put new tires on, that goes in there. And you put every single little thing. And then obviously groceries, if you have a medical aid, if you have a pension plan, if you have all of those things that are debit orders, they go down first. Okay. And now what you do next is you add all of those up, and that should give you a total. Subtract that total from the opening amount, the 10,000 Rand. And then you will see if you are overspending or underspending. Now, one of the things that I would advise you to do for the first 3 months of budgeting is to keep every single receipt that I mean every single receipt, even if you're going down to the garage to buy a packet of cigarettes and a cold drink, that receipt, even that receipt. Keep every single receipt for every single thing that you spend so that you have an accurate idea. If you'll have a look at the next panel, you will see that there is your actual spend, which is based off all the receipts that you've collected, and your budgeted spend. So you will see what you're actually spending and what you can afford to spend. And that's helpful because that will help you adjust what you're spending on. If you've got DSTV and you're paying 800 Rand a month for it, have a rethink if you are overspending. So that's one of the things. If you find that you're not making it at the end of the month, you're not making things, you need to do some cuts. And one of the first, it's all the other peripheral things that go. Things like DSTV, out the window. We need our Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is necessary because so many of us work from home. So many of us depend on it for our jobs and our work, not just for entertainment and that kind of thing. So Wi-Fi is important. Your medical aid is important. All of those things are important. That the pension plan, your funeral plan, all of those things, they are important. What you have left over, that is your spending money. What I would suggest you do with spending money, you can use the old envelope method. You can either spend it all, blow it all, and have nothing left, or you can put some in savings. You can put some in your holiday plan. You know, if you want to book a holiday, put a little bit in there, or for your holiday, for your getaway if you want, for studying if you want. What I normally do every month is I would put 50 Rand one side for my license disc renewal because I know that's coming up. I take note of the date, I put it in my diary, and then I save my 50 Rand. So by the time it comes to license renewal, I don't have to go and scratch around for the money. I've got the money ready and available. I do the same thing with when I was doing karate because unfortunately due to injuries, I cannot do karate at the moment. That's like sidebar. When I was doing karate, I knew that every January I would have to pay affiliation fees. So I would save my 50 Rand a month or my 30 Rand a month so that when January came around, I would have the 380 Rand to pay for my karate affiliation fees. So if you are part of an organization where you have to pay fees for, then I would strongly suggest that you make plans for that in advance. If you know you've got a car service, we all service our cars, hopefully. You've got to service your car once a year, at least, if you own a car. So what you can do is you can save up 100 or 200 Rand a month so that you are able to afford to pay for the service. Because often what happens is we neglect doing the service. We neglect, we go, oh man, I don't have the money for a car service now. Or it comes to the month where we need to do the car service and we don't have it in our budget. So if we actually save for that in advance, we are ready to tackle that when it comes up. This is separate from your emergency fund. This is not booze, coke, and whore money. There's not running around money. This money is specifically for those things. Now, you can either keep that in your savings account so that it grows and keep note of what you have in there, as you'll see. So keep note of what you have in your savings account and what it's for. Then when the time comes, the finances are there, ready and able. Try this out. For the first 3 months, your homework is to then collect your receipts for everything, even if you just buy a Coke at the garage while you're driving. Keep that receipt because you need to work out exactly what your actual spend is. One of my budget items is coffee because I sometimes buy myself a Seattle coffee. So I budget 150 Rand a month for Seattle coffee. And then when that 150 Rand is done, it's done. I've had my coffee. So if I spend that in the first week of the month, sorry for me. Because a budget, and here's the main thing, a budget means you need to be incredibly disciplined with your money, incredibly disciplined with your income and your spend. And in order to do that, you need to keep track of what's in your account. There's that feeling of, oh, I really, really don't want to look into my account. I want to see what the balance is. That's usually a sign that you are not taking care of your finances. You are not looking after yourself. That fear of looking at your bank balance comes from undisciplined spending and fear of the way you manage the money. Managing money for yourself is a gift you can give yourself, but it also requires a little bit of psychological work. Because if we've been taught that money doesn't grow on trees, if we've been taught that you always spend your money, you never have any savings, that becomes ingrained in our minds. So you need to start unwinding that, start changing that. I'm not saying going to use law of attraction or whatever. I'm saying start changing your thinking around money. Start changing the way you think about yourself with money. If you think, oh man, I'm really shit with money, then you'll be really shit with money. If you start thinking that I am now disciplined with money, I am now budgeting, I am now managing my money, you'll start to become that managing of the money. Okay? So that's one of the things you can do. What I would strongly suggest, and we'll do another video on this, I would strongly suggest, regardless of where you are in your life, make space for a retirement annuity in your budget. Don't be like me. Don't make my mistakes. Make sure we're going to do budget. We're going to do retirement annuities in another video. But it's incredibly important that you make space for that kind of thing. So I hope that this was helpful. I am very open to your comments and suggestions, since this is my very first Ask Auntie Tam How to Adult video. So please send your comments and your questions and your likes. Like and subscribe. Yeah. And let's meet up at least once every second week so that we can talk about what can we do to improve our adulting. So what the thing is also, if I don't have your answers for you, I will go and find them. I will talk to the experts. So please feel free to ask any question. If I don't have the answer, I will go and look for it for you. And once again, thank you for all my subscribers. Thank you for all the people who ask questions, because without you, I wouldn't have any questions to answer. Thank you.